بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتاب القرآن المجيد في سورة الفرقان أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا ويلتى ليتني لم أتخذ فلانا خليلا. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Tonight's topic is about friendship and how friendship affects us in our daily lives, both contemporarily and on an Islamic level. Friendship is a universal concept understood by both Muslims and non-Muslims, Christians and Jews, theists and atheists, Gnostics and agnostics. There are many critical components to friendship. There's a social component, there's a trust component, loyalty, communication, and love. In Western society, friendship is a crucial facet in everyday life. In 2003, Gallup did a poll amongst Americans. On average, Americans say that they have about 9 close friends. I'm willing to guarantee if this poll was done strictly amongst Muslims, that number would decrease dramatically. Friendship is important to people all over the world. After all, one of the most popular social networking websites is called Facebook. Over 600 million registered users. And it's taken the world by storm. You go and people create their profiles, they share their pictures, you can view other people's profiles. And after all, you start making requests with one another. I want to be your friend and you want to be my friend. So then you start composing a friends list. And some people have a lot of friends on their list actually. Some people have 2 to 3 to 4, maybe even 500 friends. But if you have 500 people on your friends list, does that necessarily mean that all 500 of those people are your best friends? No, absolutely not. Of course not. In the school of Al-Ghadeer, it applies the same way. Just because somebody sees you or hangs around with you or might meet you one day doesn't necessarily mean they automatically become your best friend. Just like we don't accept that every single person that was around our Holy Prophet ﷺ was a righteous companion. It's the same way with us. Not everyone who surrounds us is our best friend. To become a best friend, it takes time, dedication, loyalty, and trust. Friendship is something that we need to strive to work on. And it's a reciprocal thing, you know? We have to work with someone and somebody has to show it back to us. It's not a one-way street. It's not unidirectional, it's bidirectional. There's this term now, it's called BFF. Best friends forever. And I think the sisters usually like to say this term. I don't think guys like to say, hey, he's my BFF. But sisters like to actually say BFF a lot. But what does that mean? Best friends forever. That means that you've actually met someone and you reached a certain level with that person. That's, you know what, I can call you my best friend forever. That's a very, very deep saying right there. You've reached at a level. It doesn't mean I say hi, hello to you, salaam alaikum, I met you the first day, you're my best friend. It takes time. It just takes a little time of devotion and dedication. In the Western world, one of the most popular pets are dogs. So much so that there's a coined term for them. It's called man's best friend. Both Muslims and non-Muslims can learn a lot from analyzing the dog. After all, a dog is a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The dog has some quite beautiful traits. They are reliability, they're very reliable, they're very helpful, grateful, and loyal. Chapter 18 in the Holy Quran is titled kahf, which is cave, which actually derives from the story. The story derives from this chapter of the sleepers of the cave. And they had a dog with them. And that dog was placed in front of the cave in a protective position while through this 309 years while the sleepers of the cave, or the Ashab al-Kahf, were sleeping. Dogs can be trained to such a certain extent that even they can help the blind. They can help the blind move around. So if somebody's blind in their home, they don't actually need to have, and unfortunately, a lot of people in this country don't have family to help them out. You know, sometimes there's just a dog. And, you know, they grow an attachment with their dog. Even, as a matter of fact, they can be trained to a certain extent as well that you can actually, they can be trained to smell a certain type of scent. That's why you see them used quite a bit in law enforcement. Even with all of these great qualities a dog has, a dog cannot admonish somebody from doing something bad. They cannot admonish somebody to do something good. So man should really be man's best friend and not a dog. Also, another component of friendship is, in order to understand friendship truly, we must know who our enemies are. The antonym of the word friend is enemy or foe. In chapter 36, verse number 60, Surah Yasin, which quite often a lot of people like to recite throughout the week. It states in chapter 36, verse number 60, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. ألم عهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, did I not charge you, O children of Adam, that you do not worship shaitan because he is your open and manifest enemy? This is very interesting because the word mubin is used here. Mubin means open and apparent. But I've never seen shaitan, unless somebody else has. We haven't seen shaitan. If y'all seen shaitan, you give me a call. You can't see shaitan. So what is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala trying to tell us? He's trying to tell us that his tricks and the ploys that he does towards us are so apparent. Once you know what is haqq and what is batil, truth and falsehood. If you know these two things, they're on two opposite sides. So once you know the truth, and what the truth is, and what the truth stands for, and what falsehood is, and what falsehood stands for, and all the people that are encompassed within that realm, then you could see, okay, this person is my best friend, or this person is my friend, or this person is my enemy, or most of all, an enemy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In about 8 different verses, it mentions that shaitan is an open enemy. Shaitan is truly our enemy. Because there's always two sides to a coin. There's good, there's evil. There's right, there's wrong. Left, right. Friends and enemies. And once we understand these two polar opposite parts of the spectrum, then we start putting that into our own lifestyle. We start analyzing and start implementing into our own lifestyle who's on the right track. Again, we're not all perfect. None of us are perfect. Only the Holy Prophet ﷺ and his Ahlul Bayt, they're the perfect people. So we need to find out what's the two sides so we know in which direction we need to be moving and progressing and striving towards. Shaitan's main job is to deviate mankind from the truth and keep them misguided, or keep them misguided and away from ever learning about the truth. Because you have a lot of non-Muslims out there. And mashallah, we have a lot of people who have converted to the religion of Islam. But there's a lot of people who haven't had the truth come towards them. Some people have, some people haven't. And some people have taken it on board very quickly, and some people take time. What does Shaitan do? What is these tricks and ploys? How does he do it? He doesn't actually call me up and say, hey, you know, Zishan, you need to do this, or write me an email. He didn't say, hey, I need you to do this. He whispers. Because in Surah 114, Surah Nas, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. Chapter 114, verse number 5. It says, الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس. And who whispers into the breast or the chest, into the hearts of men. This is the way Shaitan attacks all of us. What types of tricks does Shaitan use with us? He uses envy, jealousy, lust, greed, anger, just to name a few. When you know who your enemies are, then you know who your friends are. The verse that I started with in the beginning of the lecture is from chapter 25, Surah Furqan, verse number 28. It says, Ya waylata laytani lam attakhid fulanan khalila. This is what a person would say on the day of judgment if they chose bad friends. Oh, woe to me, had I not chosen so-and-so as a friend. Fulan. Had I not chosen so-and-so person as a friend. The word in the Arabic language for friend is khalil. So like for example, in Ziyarat al-Waritha, you might have read or recited, Assalamu alayka ya Waritha Ibrahim, Khalilullah. That Khalilullah means that he's a friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this stems from a Quranic verse. Chapter number 4, Surah Nisa, verse number 125. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم واتبع ملة إبراهيم حنيفا واتخذ الله إبراهيم خليلا. And follow the path of Ibrahim, or the faith of Ibrahim, the upright one. And Allah took Ibrahim as his friend. Which begs the question, who should we try to make friends with? And how should friends be with one another? Let's start with the home first. The relationship between parents and children. Quite oftentimes, many of our parents from the Eastern society, they take on board solely an authoritarian role. Which, without a shadow of a doubt, being a leader and an authority figure in your house is every responsibility of a parent. But also to be a friend as well, too. And that sometimes quite often lacks. Friendship is a critical facet for any parent-child relationship. Be a friend to your child. There should be a relationship with people's children where a child should be able to feel comfortable talking to their parents about marriage, about issues at school. This happens all the time. Everybody, kids in their adolescence, they're having issues. They have certain emotional issues going on, brothers, sisters. They have a lot of things going on in their head. There's so many attacks coming from different angles, in this environment. So we should be able to talk about marriage. We should be able to talk about issues at school with our children, and even to maybe even clarify some issues of religious matters. I don't understand this. You should be able to talk to your parents about Tawheed. Look at Surah Luqman, chapter 31. Oh, you're always seeing Luqman and his son. Ya bunay, oh my son, do not do this. Oh my son, do not commit shirk with Allah. So, do we just have a parent relationship or a parent-child relationship just on fun stuff and cool stuff? Yes, you can have that, but is that the only way to do it? No. We got to talk about religion. All of us are on a path and on a journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because once we know that we're going to die, there's one verse in the Quran that says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, that every soul shall taste death. Kullu nafsin dha'iqatal maut. Every soul shall taste death. And once we know that variable is without a shadow of a doubt, that's going to happen to each and every single one of us, then we're going to try to work harder with our relationships.